You know, for many of us, Todd has become a familiar face and voice in our community over the past few years in his role as CEO of Seattle's newest professional sports team and the National Hockey League's newest franchise, the Seattle Kraken. Now, Todd is not only responsible for building a world-class NHL expansion team, but also its Northgate headquarters and training facility and redevelopment of the spectacular Climate Pledge Arena at Seattle Center. Now, he is no stranger to leading sports teams. Todd has served as the CEO for the Golden State Warriors, the First Tee, Minnesota Wild, Seattle Seahawks and Sounders, Tampa Bay Lightning, and then as the Chief Operating Officer for the NFL. Now, clearly, Todd could have stayed comfortably in his position with the NFL, but in many ways, it's not surprising that he returned to Seattle, especially when you look at the impact that he's had in our community during his time leading the Seahawks. He led the King County United Way 2009 campaign, raising over $100 million. He helped launch the Boeing Classic Golf Tournament that has benefited Virginia Mason Medical Center and Benaroya Research Institute. He played an instrumental role in recruiting Coach Pete Carroll and General Manager John Snyder, resulting in a 2014 Super Bowl victory. And he also helped launch the Seattle Sounders, setting a standard for all Major League Soccer teams to follow. He's been named CEO of the Year by the Puget Sound Business Journal, as well as by the Seattle Sports Commission. And now I'd like to welcome my friend, Tod Leiweke.
Thank you so much, Beth. Sounds like I can't hold on to a job when you go through that litany of positions, but I'm really happy to be here. And in the interest of time, I'll jump right into this a little bit. But, you know, Mark's excited to see games. Well, I get to see Mark all the time in my family room on broadcast. And can we believe what he's reported in the last year and a half? It's just been extraordinary. And sometimes when I look at headlines, I can't believe what we're living through, but somehow we're making it, and somehow we're going to get on the other side of this. And I do think that this project resembles hope for a lot of people, because what you're about to hear is that we haven't lost any momentum during this amazing, extraordinary, and really difficult time. In part because we've had great partners. Darlene Corcoran is on this call. Virginia Mason's been a longtime partner, but Robert Nellums is on this call. He's the boss of Seattle Center, and he has truly been an extraordinary partner in one of the most ambitious projects in this city. This is now a $2 billion project, and certainly not for the faint of heart. But I actually spoke to this group on May 30th in 2018. And much of what I laid out that day were visions and hopes and aspirations and some dreams. So I show back up 3 years later, and I'm proud to report that a lot of what we hoped we would pull off actually happened. And a good part of it happened better than even my wild imagination could have imagined. The response we've had from the community has been extraordinary. The building is amazing, and I'm going to take you on a quick tour. Helping me is Flora Taylor. So I worked at the NFL for 3 years. I had been with the Seahawks, but Flora worked at the NFL for 28 years. And as I was leaving, she said, "Could I join you?" And so, Flora, if you want to wave, I'm thrilled Flora's with me on this journey, and she's going to help curate this call today. So, Flora, I'll point to you when we're ready to move to the next slide. But let me jump in. I've got a number of slides, but I'm going to move through this quickly because I want to answer questions that you might have at the end. And it really starts with the challenge that we've walked into. And, you know, the challenge we had on this next slide, slide 3, and really fair accounting is this has been going on for 30 or 40 years. There was a renovation done in the building, but this debate on an arena has been going on for a long time. And it left a lot of things in its wake. The NBA left. So many events didn't come and play in our city that should have, but it was complicated. It was a city-owned asset. If you wanted to get it right, you had to make it work for both the NBA and the NHL. Super complex engineering challenge, with many engineers saying you can't build a new arena under the historic roof. How will you? They didn't believe you could hold that 40 million pound roof in place. You had to double the square footage. All of it had to be privately financed. And the roof was landmark, not just here in Seattle, but it was designated as a National Historic Landmark. By the way, as it should have been. It was as much a symbol for our city as was the Space Needle in 1962. The next picture really shows you the challenge we had, but it also shows the opportunity here, Flora. And here's the opportunity. This was the before shot. And what you see is the whole south side of that building was devoted to back of house that didn't fit into the building. And some of these were structures from 1962 that were thought to, not to have been taken down shortly after the World's Fair, but they continued on. This photograph also shows you how difficult the loading dock was. The reason so many concerts skipped Seattle is that the loading dock was an incredible challenge. It was a 2-bay loading dock. So Taylor Swift, who travels with over 20 semi-tractor trailers, just simply said, I can't afford to play in Seattle. And believe it or not, the loading dock was a huge, significant issue. An antiquated building, 400,000 square feet, that needed to become a new building somehow, some way. So great architects, populists out of Kansas City attacked this. They brought in different kinds of engineers, and they started thinking about what could be. And this is the footprint. One of the most important disciplines to look at here is there's actually a tunnel that runs from John Street about 2 blocks under Bressie and ends up connecting into the building into an incredible 8-bay loading dock. And hey, you're going to come, and I hope everyone on this call has a reason to come to this beautiful building in the coming months. But the loading dock is one of my most prideful points. It's an 8-bay loading dock, and we are going to be able to load shows in and out at the same time. I will show you in a short while a photograph of the that will connect the loading dock. But pushing on ground, 500 parking stalls, the loading dock, the tunnel, we were able to create a building here that had no back of house. And what was the back of house on the south end of the building is now the front of the house. And it was the one piece that Landmarks allowed us to add, which was a grand atrium on the south side of the building. That approach not only will change our building, it's going to have a dramatic effect on Seattle Center and this beautiful park in which we're located, because now there's a sweeping connection into this beautiful park. I believe we're building the most beautiful arena in the world, in part because it's the only building in a park in the world. And we've actually taken the building back to some of the principles of 1962 and Paul Thury, who designed this building. The roof is a Native American rain hat, but a building that was really a glass jewel connected to the park. Here's the evolution of the building. That was Thury's building in 62. And then, for a lot of time leading up to 95, there was a lot of debates. A renovation was done, but didn't get it far enough. And, probably 7 years after that renovation was done, the drums started beating about a new arena. And so then, my brother, Oakview Group, and my boss, David Bonderman, and others with courage said, we can do this, and this market will support it. And so what you see is the version of the building that will appear in 2021, doubling the size, and will become one of the most spectacular buildings. And I'm about to show you some photographs that we took this week. So you're going to see some really cool images. What I love about this building is its steepness. It's actually, the building is subterranean in most parts. People will walk in on the same level as the park coming in from Seattle Center. And then as they walk in, if you're seated in the upper deck, it's a short walk to your seats. They're just above you. The rest of the fans will cascade down all the way down to the basketball court, the ice, or the event level for a concert. The building is steep, it's intimate. The top end technology in the building with Wi-Fi and DAS, second to none. Acoustics that'll be concert hall perfect. A gridding system that will lay in above. This is one of the 2 scoreboards that'll go in. But we believe that the building is going to be the most beautiful building in the world. Interiors being done by David Rockwell, and I'll show you some of those in a moment. When I came and spoke to you about 3 years ago, we had hopes. This building is going to be so much more beautiful and spectacular than I could even hope for. The price tag from when I spoke to you has gone up quite a bit, but our owners have hung in there, and there's really been a flight to quality. At every turn, they've opted not to value engineer, but in fact to add in and make this building incredible. The excavation all into itself was remarkable, but hundreds of men and women are now building this, and it's right on track to open this fall. So let's keep going here, Flora. So here's the shot this week of the building, and I love the intimacy, the bowl. In many ways, the building, originally designed in '62, had this spectacular glass on the north end. Well, it was hidden by the seating bowl in the last renovation. Now it's been liberated, and this building is truly a cathedral. People who walk into it, it takes their breath away. It's steep, it's intimate, it has a historic roof, it has this beautiful glass on the north end, and it's just going to be terrific. Here's another shot of the seating bowl. This is actually the press box on the west side going in, and this is starting to show you some of the steepness of the bowl. Next, you can see that the seating rakes are all the way in, and it's really remarkable. One of the things I'm really proud of is that we didn't overbuild on the suites. Sometimes the second ring of suites in a building can make it feel less intimate. We put one ring of suites in on this bowl and then cleverly built suites under the seating deck on the event level. So we have 40 suites on the main level, and then about 20 suites downstairs, which we're calling our Tunnel Club suites. By putting them downstairs, we were able to keep the building vertical and tight and steep and intimate. Hockey players love that. NBA players love that. Artists love that. And fans, more important than all of them, love that. Next photograph is just another shot of the seating bowl. This was taken last week, so you can see the amazing progress done. The building is totally encapsulated now. The original glass was taken out. It's been put back in. And so we're working away on the interiors. Another shot looking towards the east. There's the grid that will go on the ceiling that will allow a concert of any magnitude to be hoisted, lowered from the building. This grid is meant to support all the acoustics, but it also creates a sense of intimacy in this building. While that roof is still there, it will feel as though you're in a beautiful concert hall because of this grid. This is the glass that was taken out. We're so proud of the historic preservation of this building. All that glass was taken out, was carefully stored, and then brought back in and replaced panel by panel. And the effect of it is beautiful. And you really start to realize that Paul Thury was a remarkable architect, because some of the principles that he designed in '62 are going to make this building the most beautiful in the world. Here's the tunnel, a spectacular achievement. This allows 2 semi-tractor trailers to pass by at the same time, but really allowed the building to push all of these services underground. This is one of the pieces that could have been value engineered out, but our owners just didn't do that. They committed to doing this right, and this piece is just such a critical piece. One day we'll have a Seattle Rotary 4 meeting at our loading dock, and I'll proudly show you all of this. One of the amazing things in this journey has been the dedication of the men and women building this arena. It was already an incredible challenge. We've not had any major injuries, but what we've seen day in and day out is incredible commitment by the trades and the unions to build this incredible building and partnership. When we announced the building name, we did it in front of the men and women. When we announced our team name, we did it in front of the men and women. And recently we had our topping out ceremony and allowed all the men and women who were on site that day to sign this beam. I feel great emotion talking about the men and women who built this. Not only is building something like this come with peril already, but during the COVID crisis, they showed up. They realized they were doing something incredible and important, and here are their names. And a lot of people will get a lot of credit for this. The men and women who built it deserve an enormous amount of credit. Super exciting. Here's the building in finished form, and you can see how spectacular these plazas are going to be and the impact it's going to have the rest on Seattle Center and what Robert Nellums is doing to make Seattle Center great. But this is the South Entryway. This is the Grand Atrium sponsored by Alaska Airlines. I will also talk about the name on the building. We're so proud that Climate Pledge Arena stands atop this building and what it ultimately stands for. This is the first zero carbon building in the world. We eliminated all the fossil fuels from this building, and in the second year of operation, there'll be no single-use plastic in this building without compromise. But now artists and guests and others can come to this building knowing that we're actually not damaging the world we live in, that events like this, big events, are capable of operating at a zero carbon. This South Entryway will have solar panels, and a gentleman named Rob Johnson is leading all of that. It's very technical in how you make a building zero carbon. We might have to buy some carbon credits, but there's some amazing stories as well. For instance, a system that will collect rainwater off the roof, store it in a tank, filter it, and eventually it'll become the ice in which the players skate on. So every event we have in this building will have a purpose about it, and we couldn't be more proud of our partnership with Amazon and their commitment to the Climate Pledge. These are some of the interiors, and again, our owners had an incredible commitment to quality. They could have used the interior architects that were part of the deal with Populous, but David Bonderman said, I want the best guy in the land. That guy happens to be a gentleman named David Rockwell, who is one of his partners, a guy named Sean Sullivan from Seattle. So they came in and built the interiors of all of our clubs and all of our suites, and they're just spectacular. This is the Space Needle Club, which is atop the Alaska Airlines atrium, an incredible view of the Space Needle. And this would be an incredible location for one of our Rotary Club meetings. Just an amazing space that will have elegance and speak to Seattle and showcase this building. That's one of our suites on the main level. This is a club that will look at the suite on the other end zone. It'll be a little bit of a younger, hipper club. We're calling it the Mount Baker Club. And then our hockey team. So let me pause here for a moment, Flora, and say that next week on March 2nd, it's a company holiday. And that was in honor of March 2nd of 2018, where 32,000 depositors put money down to become a part of our family. We have now completed our seating. The fans followed through and have been truly extraordinary. I knew it when I worked for the Seahawks and I worked for the Sounders that the fans here in Seattle were different. When I came, the Mariners could have played a game at 2 a.m. and sold it out. And the Mariners, by the way, their best days are in front of them. I have an enormous amount of respect for John Stanton. And I really, Charles Johnson is on this call. You've joined a great organization. And I believe in their prospects. I believe in their ownership. And ultimately, I believe in these fans. These are the greatest sports fans, I think, in the world, and they've held true in hockey. So we're trying to build a hockey team that is commensurate with the amazing fan support we've had. We're sold out for next year. We do hold back some tickets for individual seats. We also have 280 $20 seats, which we'll distribute to people who otherwise wouldn't be able to go to games. But the fans have shown up, and this will be one of the loudest venues in all of the National Hockey League. But we had to put together a great hockey organization. We brought in a guy named Ron Francis as our general manager. Ron Francis played in the NHL for many years, is a member of the Hockey Hall of Fame, won 2 Stanley Cups, is number 2 in overall scoring, was an incredible assist man. And in hockey, you get the same credit for an assist as you do a goal. But this is the staff he's starting to build out. And we have an incredible moment coming up in July where we'll pick the team in 1 week. In over 3 days, we'll pick the players from the other teams. All the teams will protect notionally around 12 players, and we'll have notionally 10 players in which to pick from. Teams will expose players for different reasons, but the expansion draft was very favorable for Las Vegas, and we're really excited about what it means for us. These are 2 of Ron's assistants. The next page shows his scouting staff. So this is the pro scouting staff that fans out. Very proud, by the way, of Cami Granado, who's just north of us up in Vancouver, but a really capable group that is working day in and day out to collect data and then feed it into a analytics system that we built from scratch here that we're super excited about. The last slide was pro scouting. This is amateur scouting, because the following week after we make our pro selections from the other teams, we will participate in the NHL draft, likely picking somewhere between number 3 and number 5, and then number 3 in every subsequent round. Really important to get that first draft right. And we have scouts not only all across North America, but this hockey is truly an international game. On our staff calls on Monday, there's Alex, who's in Moscow. We always get a weather report from him. And it is cold there, and they have a lot of snow in Moscow this year, I can tell you firsthand. The way we scout is we go to these leagues, but boy, has it been tough. The NHL is playing, but some of these development leagues, the junior hockey, have not been playing. So it really makes the amateur scouting more challenging. But we're dealing with it, and technology is definitely our friend. So it leads really to this last piece that I want to show you, and then I'm happy to answer questions. But if you're going to build a great franchise, you're going to bring in great leaders like Ron Francis. If you're going to have an incredible arena and these kinds of fans, you have to have a home to the team that is commensurate with that dream. So we looked at lots of options. The obvious options for us were to find a piece of land in the suburbs, in the distant suburbs, and to build a training center. But the fact is that Seattle did not have one sheet of ice in the city limits. So we then made the decision that we were going to step up and do something in a very bold way. Went up to the Northgate, run by the Simon Malls. They were completely reimagining what Northgate could be like. They saw it eventually becoming a mixed-use residential business and definitely some commercial, but changing the nature of Northgate. We began planning with them on what this could be. And what we're developing is a $90 million training center, 3 sheets of ice. It will be home to our business operations, but most importantly, our team. We'll have an incredible restaurant. And our friends at Virginia Mason are building a medical clinic, which will be a huge advantage for us and our players right there. And so I'll take you through some slides here pretty quickly on the training center. We estimate over 750,000 guests a year will come through the doors, 20,000 hours of programming, hockey, figure skating, curling, sled hockey. The Seattle blind hockey is booked. The Washington Wild, the largest women's program. We're going to have an incredible sports bar. It will be home to hockey. Our home sheet, our first rink, which would be the team rink, will have 1,100 seats and a spectacular video board. And our players will skate onto this ice and feel great pride in pulling on the Seattle Kraken jersey. Here's some pictures we took this week. This is the home sheet. On the right, you're seeing our offices and the windows there. On the far end, you're seeing the Kraken sports bar we're building. And then on the left, the seats haven't been installed, but that's where 1,100 seats will be available for the public for free to any practice and any team event. This is rink number 2. This is the bar, and it's going to be a fun place. I look forward to seeing that. Even if many of you will never step on the ice, come up here and have a glass of wine with me. This is the entryway, the public entryway. This is on the east side. Here's the player entryway. And, you know, in the professional sports, recruitment is so important. I helped build the Virginia Mason Athletic Training Center for the Seahawks. It was so important that we get the training center right for the Seahawks, and it had a huge difference on the culture of the organization and the ability to recruit. And this player entrance, this player facility is going to have that same impact on the Kraken. This is the grand entryway for our fans. Here's the home sheet of ice. You're looking across at the offices there, the team bench. There's the 1,000 seats, the large video board. Just imagine this facility for home games, Kraken home games, and people skating and watching a home game and away games. Here's another shot from our bar. And I think these are the last few renderings as well. And there's the team locker room. And this is why I came back, is the men that will sit in this locker room dreaming of bringing the Stanley Cup back to Seattle. It's really quite inspiring. So there you are, and I think I'm right on time.
That's me speaking with my mute on. Todd, thank you so much. That's awesome. That's a lot of, you've accomplished a lot in a short time. So congratulations and welcome back.
Yeah, does my hair look a little wider since the last time I was here?
A lot wider. I think there's a reason for that, dude. There's a lot of reasons for that. I think we just saw, how many slides were there? There's probably that many slides for that. Well done. All right, we got a lot of questions. We only got 10 minutes. You ready to do some lightning round right off the bat?
Let's go for it.
Great. Curious how you're partnering with your great neighbors. This is back to the arena, like SIF, Vera, KEXP, and other Seattle Center organizations.
So excited what we're going to do for the campus and bringing people down. So excited for how we're going to promote other events. SIF, Vera, the Science Center as a science of hockey that they're going to launch right at the beginning. Seattle Center is one of the greatest assets we have as a community. Its best days are in front of it, and this new arena is really going to be a huge positive for all of Seattle Center. I love where we are. I love our community, and part of why we're going to be the most beautiful arena in the world is where we're located.
All right. As a member of the mayor's committee, which selected your group over the other developers' proposal, one of the things I was impressed with was your commitment to give back to the community through various nonprofits. How have your giving priorities changed since that proposal was written based on how our region's lives have changed in the last year?
We're going to be as involved in the community as any organization. It's part of who I am, and we've already done that. We've donated $1 million to a food voucher program. We've made a huge commitment to youth care. Our training center will be a home of diversity and change. And let me speak just briefly to diversity. The sports industry has not reflected how the rest of the world works, and sports teams typically have been male dominated. Today, our organization is 45% women, 25% BIPOC, and that's the way it should be. I am as proud of our diversity in our organization as I am of anything you've seen here today. And only in Seattle could we not only have the dream of this kind of diversity, but achieve it. And I'm super proud of that.
Yeah, good job. How many tickets roughly will be available for single game purchase since season tickets are sold out?
Well, we did an interesting thing with the season tickets, but it still wasn't enough. We took 4,500 seats and split them in half so that we could get through as many depositors as possible. But they continue to buy at a bigger number than we ever thought. So we'll have some hundreds of individual tickets. We do have 280 $20 seats. So imagine that when the Montreal Canadiens come, or the Detroit Red Wings, or the first time we play the Canucks, their home opener, to have a kid sitting in the stands and being with us, it was very important. But our games will be sold out. The fan response has been almost overwhelming. And I told my brother, these are the greatest sports fans in the world, and they held true to form.
Yeah, I would believe that. During the excavation, did you uncover any items of historical significance?
Well, we had a scary early day where they called and said they found some bones, and we were like, wow, well, they were deer bones. We didn't know what we'd find, and that was the scary part. When you dig down 50 feet, you're subject to running into all sorts of things. In the tunnel, we found these boulders, which they can't quite explain, massive boulders that we had to actually blast apart. But besides that, the project's actually gone right on schedule. Certainly supply lines slowed us down a little bit due to COVID, but the men and women have kept us right on track.
Good. I got a couple of questions around this next question. What are your near-term, long-term transportation improvements?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because we're super excited about some things we've done. One of the things we've done is we bought into half the monorail operating company. And when we joined in, we went to the city, got an extension on the monorail concession. The first move made was to accept the Orca Pass, because heretofore it didn't accept the Orca Pass. It was almost, the monorail was almost a tourist attraction. The monorail in its day transported 8 million people to the Seattle Center. So we're putting $7 million of capital into the monorail. It accepts the Orca Pass, and every ticket for Kraken games has embedded into it an Orca Pass. So someone can get on a bus out in Bellevue and end up right at the arena on a seamless transportation journey. Northgate has the light rail ending right at the Northgate stop. The other thing we've done is we committed $20 million to transportation improvements over the period of our lease. And a lot of that will get manifested early on. For instance, Mercer did not have traffic lights that were sequenced. That sounds crazy. Well, it's actually expensive. But transportation is something we focused on early. Former council person Rob Johnson joined our team and has led sustainability and transportation. And this building will have the best transportation planning of any building in any city. And in some ways, it was an alibi for why this wouldn't work. We've found that there's been solutions to almost everything we brought forward, including getting the monorail into the game.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You've thought through so many things. Noting the unique, and you kind of touched on this on a little bit of your slides, but noting the unique dual Jumbotron, a lot of in-building innovations that will surely stick out for fans being brought in from around the world. What are your thoughts to how Seattle and the Pacific Northwest will be visually represented throughout the experience? What does Seattle and Pacific Northwest look like within the experience, and what does it feel like?
Well, one of the things we did is we formed a tech committee, and a guy named Andy Jassy, who was at that point in time the CEO of AWS, Amazon Web Services. Andy just became the CEO of Amazon. And we submit that the fact he served as the head of the Kraken's tech committee served well on his resume when he took that job or was offered the job. I'm being facetious, but we're building an app from scratch. No team's ever done it. The app is declaring war on waiting lines. We are going to have some of the coolest technology in the building. There's a number of our concession stands will be just walk out, where you can you walk in, grab your food, and walk out. And if you're registered with a POM, you don't stop at a waiting line. Waiting lines are a terrible part of going to an event. An NHL game, we estimated that people would spend up to 40 minutes in a waiting line. We've declared war on that. And technology will be our great tool. And in Seattle, you can dream these dreams. Our Wi-Fi system, our gas system. But our scoreboards are very unique. They're going to be the first of a kind of any in the building. There are going to be two of them, one over each basket or each goal, instead of this big monster thing in the middle where you can't see your neighbors on the other side. We moved them down and put them over the goals and the baskets, and we believe that it'll become the trend, but we're going to be the first to have it. Others are going to take a wait and see. We love it. We think it'll be a signature for the arena. All
right. Do you anticipate, this is a cheeky question, do you anticipate that concerts currently held at CenturyLink Field will shift to your venue?
Well, those concerts, both the T-Mobile and Lumen Field will probably continue on because they're big, but we're going to be one of the busiest concert venues in North America. We'll do twice as many concerts our first year as we have hockey games, and concerts for all walk of life. For instance, this is a very big country and Western market, but we'll have genres of all sorts of music. I know this is being recorded, so I'm not going to tell you some of the acts that we potentially, but we have right now over 100 acts holding dates already in our first year. And Robert might be able to tell you this, but I think the last year the building was in operations, it had 15 or 20 shows. So this idea that musicians wanted to come and play in this rich music city and that people here would buy tickets to see the best in entertainment is holding true. This will be probably first and foremost one of the great concert venues in North America.
This is awesome. I wish that you had more pride around what you do, Todd, because you just need to grasp it more. You are incredible to this city, and we appreciate everything that you're doing for us, for your team, for your fans, for the people that work with you. I think out of all those slides, my favorite is probably that huge big one with all the people that have been working on that building. I think that is an amazing way to cultivate community. So thanks for being back with us today.
Well, I love my city, and our best days should be in front of us. And this, along with transportation, along with the remake of our waterfront and other things, let's make it happen, because dreams can come true.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for having me, and we'll see you all at the Climate Pledge Arena at a Kraken game soon.
Kraken.
And Todd, thanks so much. Everyone show Todd a little appreciation with your Kraken gear. And Todd, when your schedule frees up, we'll come back and invite you to join our club.